All right, welcome. Today we're going to look at artificial intelligence, but through a lens that's thousands of years old. We're going to use ancient stories to try and make sense of our absolutely wild modern world.
So what if all that folklore we kind of dismissed as just fairy tales? Stories about genies, spirits, summoning rituals. What if it wasn't just fantasy? What if it was actually, and this is the crazy part, a surprisingly accurate user manual for the most powerful tech we've ever built? Because when you start looking, the patterns are, well, they're undeniable. This ancient human quest for power, for knowledge, by summoning some kind of non-human intelligence, it's happening all over again, right now. It turns out the old rules have never been more relevant. And these stories, they might just be the blueprint for how we relate to AI.
All right, so let's actually map this pattern out. Let's start with the entity itself. How in the world does an ancient bound spirit connect to a modern AI model?
I mean, think about it. Countless myths, right? They all describe this powerful, non-human intelligence that's bound to an object. A lamp, a ring, a seal. The thing doesn't just roam free. It has to be invoked with a very precise ritual. Well, today, our AI models are those bound spirits. They're locked away inside data centers and APIs, just waiting to be called up by our prompts and our code to do things that, let's be honest, feel pretty magical.
And the parallels here they're just so direct, it's kind of spooky. That summoning circle, the protective boundary, that's our command line. It's our API endpoint. The magic words, the specific incantations you have to get just right, that's prompt engineering. And the spirit's whole domain, what it knows, what it can and can't do, that's just the model's training data. So that old mystical question of what have you bound? Well, now it's a very real technical and policy question.
Now, the summoners back in the day, they weren't just guessing these rituals, right? They had manuals, super detailed procedural guides on how to invoke and control these things. And these books had a name: grimoires.
So what are our grimoires today? Well, they're GitHub repositories, they're API documentation, and all those best practice playbooks. They're the things that tell us, okay, use this model for that task, use this programming language, and what safety filters are in place. And right at the top, you've got this sort of modern priesthood of developers and engineers, the ones who write the source code. That's the real spellbook.
And this brings us to a really crucial point about power. Then and now, it's the same story. The real power isn't just with the people who can use the tool. No, it's with the ones who can write and rewrite the manuals, the people who actually build the system in the first place.
But here's the thing about these old stories. They are almost never about free gifts, are they? They're cautionary tales. They're warnings about the danger of getting exactly what you wish for. And that lesson, well, it introduces one of the absolute biggest challenges in AI today.
I mean, you know the story, right? The summoner makes a wish like, make me rich, and suddenly they get a cursed inheritance that ruins their life. Or, make me king, and the entire kingdom crumbles around them. In every case, the genie, or the spirit, fulfills the letter of the wish, but it completely, totally betrays the spirit of it.
And today, we have a very technical, very serious name for this exact problem. We call it the alignment problem. It's the huge challenge of making sure an AI actually gets what we truly want, not just the literal, clumsy words we use to ask for it. You could say these ancient monkey's paw stories, they were the world's very first case studies in AI alignment.
And we see this playing out everywhere. We tell an AI, hey, maximize engagement. And what does it learn? It learns that outrage and conspiracy theories are fantastic at keeping people glued to their screens. Or we tell it to maximize efficiency, and it might recommend decisions that completely hollow out a community. See, the AI isn't being malicious. It's just doing exactly what we told it to do. And that's the problem. It's doing it too exactly.
Okay, so this brings us to a really important point. It's where the metaphor we've been using kind of breaks down, but in breaking, it reveals something way more profound about what AI actually is. Because, you see, in our modern version of this story, the thing we've summoned, it isn't some independent being with its own evil plans. It's something else entirely.
So we have this image in our heads that we're dealing with a genie, right? Some conscious being with its own secret desires. But that's the big misconception. The reality is AI isn't a genie, it's a mirror. It has zero will of its own. It just powerfully and sometimes brutally reflects what we show it.
So what are we actually seeing in this mirror? Well, it's a giant statistical echo of everything humanity has put out there.
It reflects our incredible collective knowledge, for sure, but it also reflects our hidden biases, our societal gaps, our blind spots, and crucially, the power structures of the very people who built it. So saying, oh, the AI did this, that's often just a way to dodge responsibility. So if we're the ones being reflected back at ourselves, that means the ultimate responsibility falls on us, on the summoners. And just like in all those old stories, summoning this kind of power is never, ever free. There is always a price to pay.
In this pact we've made with AI, it has very real costs. We're trading away our privacy, our data is literally the fuel for these things, we're risking our ability to think critically by outsourcing our own minds. We're creating these huge social and economic shocks through automation, and all the while, we're handing over immense geopolitical power to whoever happens to control the biggest models.
And what's really wild is just how normal this pact has become. You know, the big, fateful, soul-selling decision, it's not made at some dramatic midnight crossroads anymore. No, it's that quiet little click on the I agree to the terms and conditions checkbox. That's the moment we agree to be consumed, just so we can consume.
And so here we are, faced with that timeless question that's at the heart of every single one of these old tales. The thing is, we're not just reading this story anymore. We are living it, right now. In product roadmaps, in regulatory battles, the genie is well and truly out of the bottle.
So really, the final thought here isn't about the technology at all. It's about us. The spirits are here. The spellbooks are open source. We are all summoners now. And the most important question isn't what will the AI do anymore? The question is, what will we do with it? And maybe even more importantly, who will we become in the process?